My name is Ryan Zatkoviak. Clinton, we have a Big Ten champion, as fictitious as it might have seemed 2 years ago when the Indiana Hoosiers hired Curt Cignetti. He went out on the field. He said, Michigan sucks, Purdue sucks, Ohio State sucks. The prophecy has been fulfilled. He has brought an outright Big Ten title to Bloomington for the first time, Clinton, since the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor, World War II. How are you tonight, sir? I guarantee you're doing better than I am.
To be fair, Ryan, if this were me before children, I promise you, when Ohio State would lose, and even a regular season game, I'd be pissed off for a week. I mean, it just wouldn't stop until they played again so that I could see them win a game. And life has obviously changed because I have different responsibilities now. So they lost last night. I was disappointed. I was mad.
And guess what, Clinton? It didn't mean a goddamn thing.
And the sun rose up today, and then the fucking Bengals lost in horrible fashion and pissed me off even more.
In the second half.
Dog, it was the defense. I mean, I know Burrow had two shoddy picks. One was just an amazing play by the guy, but the defense. That Josh Allen TD, Ryan, that he ran for, I bet you could have fucking scored on that.
It was not going to
so
lie
bad.
to you. I watched literally zero football
It
today.
was so bad.
I couldn't even tell you what my fantasy teams are doing right now.
So my football weekend has been absolute garbage, but kid-wise, and I got to hang out with my brother-in-law and my buddy Xavier, our buddy Xavier, since he's your friend as well, that we got to watch the game together last night, so that was fun. Check out the SEC title together. Glad I didn't spend $800 to go to fucking Indianapolis and watch Indiana bully Ohio State for 4 quarters.
Irwin went. He said that the IU fans were getting a little mouthy after the game.
I mean, they all are, but it would have been the same way if Ohio State beat them. It would have been the same way.
You can't tell them to act like they've been there before because
they haven't.
Have not.
Yep. What is this saying?
Talk your shit. You earned it.
Even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. They just haven't found their nut since 1967.
I don't think we can call this one a blind squirrel because they're
very
fucking,
good.
They are fucking good. This is a good football team.
All right, Ryan. Other than the results from today, which we'll get to, how are you?
That completely sucked the fuck. I've never in my life, have I been unable to speak because I was so speechless. And it wasn't even at 10. As soon as I saw Bama come up at 9, I was like, they are going to get fucked.
So here's how I got this. We went, Elliot, through his preschool, it's through a church. So he sang at church today. Then we went to Walmart afterwards, got some lights to help finish putting up the outdoor lights. And I'm like, all right, am I going to turn this thing on or not? I don't know. I kind of know how it's going to play out because you have heard me say for an entire week that Notre Dame was going to be a lock if what happened on Saturday happened.
Clinton, they were minus 2,000 going into the show. That means you would have to bet $1,200 to win $100 that they would make the playoff. Yeah. That's how certain I was at that point. Like right when I texted, they were minus 1,000 all morning, and then I texted you that, and it was like 45 minutes before the show. I'm like, oh, the script leak, we're good.
Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, I'll turn it on. We'll see what's going on. And it just so happened it pulled up right at the part for Bama, Miami, and Notre Dame. And I'm looking at the resumes, and whatever. It's going to be Bama and Notre Dame. I know what you guys are going to do. And then Bama dropped first. I'm like, all right, I get it. I see it, whatever. And I'm like, Notre Dame's going to be at 10, 100%. And my fucking jaw hit the floor when Miami was that 10th seed. I'm like, there is no way they actually did this. And props to who runs the show. It's Davis, right? Reese Davis?
Yep.
Reese Davis for trying to pick this guy's brain on like, what the hell have you guys, why have you left Miami behind them for the past 3 weeks then to only jump them now when nobody played? Like, he had some tough questions for that guy. And to let you know, like, Leah wasn't in here watching it, but she could hear the commish talk. And she goes, that guy sounds really nervous. And I'm like, yeah, because he doesn't have an answer for what they're asking because nothing they do makes sense.
No, because there was no on-field or resume-based justification for it. It's a farce. It isn't the whole, like, I have given you shit for so long. I have given your ilks shit for so long with all of this. ESPN, SEC bias, blah blah blah. I mean, you guys are being ridiculous about it. If I don't know what further proof that you need that this entire college football playoff ESPN shit is an SEC, AC. I don't even think, I feel wrong saying the ACC in here. It's an ESPN. It's a farce driven by ESPN to protect their television partners.
Yeah.
That's it. Like there's literally no on-field justification to explain why this happened today and not a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is Virginia lost the ACC title game. They were staring down the ACC not getting a team in the field, and they had to pucker up at fucking 12 o'clock when that game ended and said, guys, what are we going to do about this? Because they weren't going to fuck the ACC for the second time in 3 years after what they did to Florida State 2 years ago. Yep. How do we get Miami in this field? Because then he was talking about, well, yeah, we all went back and rewatched the Notre Dame Miami game, and what really stood out was the athleticism differences between the Miami receivers and the Notre Dame secondary. Half of Notre Dame's secondary in that game has not played since that game because they were so bad. Their starting nickel didn't play in that game because he was hurt. He turned his ankle in warm-ups. They have a freshman All-American at safety who didn't start playing until Arkansas. And guess what? Their pass defense got better. And that's the justification you used? 5 days ago, Clinton, the debate was, well, Alabama and Notre Dame have been so close this entire time, but that gutsy fourth down play call really sold it for us. And now 5 days later, Notre Dame ran for more yards than Alabama did this weekend. And there was no thought at all of saying, hey, maybe we were wrong about that ranking last week. Maybe we should revisit that. There wasn't even a question about that. Instead, it's BYU got smoked, so they fall behind Alabama or fall behind Miami. But Alabama got smoked just as bad. Clinton, there were 7 minutes left in the game. The scores were functionally the same. Mm-hmm. And then there was window dressing at the end of the Big 12 title game because BYU turned it over 3 times inside their own 30-yard line, and Texas Tech ran up the score. That was the only functional difference between those two games. But BYU got beat so bad they had to drop. But Alabama got beat so bad they got to stay there because they already beat Georgia. So what you're telling me is that game didn't even matter at all. Georgia won that game. They did not move in the ranking. Alabama lost that game, and they did not move in the ranking. Clinton, in the history of the college football playoff, Alabama in 2025 is the only team to lose their conference title game and not fall a spot in the rankings. The only time that it has happened. Why are we playing conference title games?
And, caveat, Alabama is the only team in the 4-team playoff era to get in with 2 losses. And thus far, I know it's only been 2 years, the only team in the 12-team era that's got in with 3 losses.
Clinton, in 2017, they were sitting their ass on their couch. An Auburn team that beat them 2 weeks prior lost the SEC title game, and they yeeted that Auburn team out in place of a Bama team that didn't play.
Yep. They did win the Natty, though.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah. I had a feeling they were going to keep Bama, but I didn't think they'd swap Notre Dame and Miami. But you've been prophesizing this for almost 2 weeks. You said it was going to happen, that they'd find a way, if it got side by side, that they'd jump Miami and Notre Dame.
Which still makes no sense.
In the last rankings, which I just didn't think they would because nobody played.
It still makes no sense because functionally what they have been saying is the head-to-head didn't matter until they were right next to each other. Why? In what universe does that explanation make sense?
I mean,
it doesn't.
Sean McDonough was calling the ACC game last night. I didn't get the guys talking because I would flip briefly in the non-quad box, the dual box, over to the ACC game when Ohio State was at a commercial. And I think that might have been right around when you said it. Or when I sent you, maybe he stimulated me to say that, but whatever. When I prompted and I texted you and said, essentially you're getting the 2 G5s in, Duke takes this game, they put Bama out, and then they put Miami in so that they can get the best ACC team in and still have an ACC rep. So it worked out best for them. Never did I think that was going to be a swap for Notre Dame.
No, I thought the situation that in the back of my mind, I thought that Notre Dame would be safest if Virginia won that game because then the ACC would be in. But with how it played out with BYU losing and Alabama getting smoked, and there already being 4 SEC teams in the field, is you get to a point where it's like, okay, we can't leave this Bama team in here. You can't lose by 21 points. Your last data point can't be a 21-point loss that was worse than the final score. Clinton, they crossed midfield twice, and one of them was aided by 30 yards in penalties on it.
I was going to say their scoring drive was aided by penalties to get them there.
How are you going to sit there and say, yeah, this is a team that we need to see in the playoff? Again, and put them against the team that beat them 3 weeks ago.
That is the other thing that I thought. If Bama stayed, they would at least go 10, so you avoid the rematch, and you'd give Notre Dame Oklahoma, and then Bama gets.
Oh no!
10,
well, then
so
the process of
A&M.
explaining why you went from Miami 12 to 9 would make even less sense, and it at least has to make somewhat sense.
No. I was in my world. I was envisioning that 9 being Notre Dame.
Oh no, that's what I thought.
Oklahoma.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And I think honestly, my conspiracy theory is if Virginia won the ACC title game, I think that's how the rankings would have played out today, and they had to pivot at midnight. Because they were sitting there saying, we're not going to get an ACC team in the field, and we cannot have this.
If this stays at 12, it will be rewritten next year to make sure all Power 4 teams are going to get someone in, and that we don't get 2 G5 teams
Well,
again.
everyone's going to redo their conference tiebreakers, which should be doing what the Mountain West did in the first place, where if there's no head-to-head tiebreaker, the first tiebreaker criteria is going to be either computer rankings or CFP rankings. So that way, because the purpose of getting rid of divisions in the first place was making sure your best 2 teams were in the conference title game. And now you're sitting here in 2025 and the ACC's best team was not in the conference title game because of these tiebreakers.
You could almost argue their best 2 weren't. I mean, Virginia earned it. I don't want to take it away from Virginia, but Duke, like that shouldn't happen. I know they won it. They're the ACC champs. But that they shouldn't have been there. It should have been Miami UVA last night. So that's neither here nor there. Thank you, ACC. And, yeah, ACC for getting 2 automatic qualifiers from the G5 in. Before I bitch about the playoff bracket of those 2 being in, we have one more thing to discuss, Ryan.
We should probably talk about the game that happened last night.
We will. So, I called your program soft. As we go through, we got more details as to why Notre Dame is opting out of their bowl game. Here's why. 1, I don't like sitting out games. 2, I feel bad for the kids or the guys who are on that team who don't play anymore. Jeremiah Love's fine. Jeremiah Love's going to go to the NFL. He wasn't going to play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl anyways, even though that'd be cool to see Jeremiah Love play in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. But for the guys who are on this team that this was going to be their last game, that's why it pisses me off. Because they don't have any, they're done now. Well, and they walked after the Stanford game. 1, they thought they were going to be in the playoff, so I'm sure that was there. And I cannot believe that it was a team sweeping vote of no to play when you have guys on those teams who would have loved to lace them up one more time. Well, who they had played? BYU? Is that who it would have been?
Yeah.
Go play BYU in the Pop-Tarts Bowl and absolutely railroad them. And you didn't need Love to do that because you were going to kick their ass anyways. One more time to show out and show what they missed. I know Florida State, if you go back a few years, that obviously didn't pan out. Georgia fucking killed them, but Georgia showed, I don't know, their argument as to why they should have been in the playoff. But it's not just Notre Dame, though. This is also Kansas State, and I believe someone else has opted out. Was it Iowa State opted out?
There were
as
7 teams. Everyone that they're trying to get this last bowl spot has said no.
It sucks. We have completely ruined bowl season over the years, and I get it with opt-outs, and now we have just teams opting out. What once was such a joy to watch all these bowl games and tune in December and early January, it's done now, and the only thing that matters is the playoff. So figure something out to make these other games matter, and I don't necessarily mean go to 24 teams or just get rid of it.
There's nothing that's saving bowl season at this point.
And then make the Pop-Tarts Bowl the national championship.
Look,
your thoughts, though, on Notre Dame opting out? You have more details as to why they did it.
Well, it was a vote.
They're saying they're doing it.
It was a vote, and I wonder if they had the opportunity to sit on it for a couple of days, if they would have had a different perspective based on what you just said, that, well, now your season's over when you weren't ready for it to be over, but also in the immediate aftermath where you were sitting there on Selection Sunday and you had no reason to believe that you were going to fall out based on everything that the playoff committee had said over 5 weeks. And apparently what the playoff committee had said to Notre Dame behind closed doors when conferences and teams have their meetings with the committee. They had been given no indication that this was something that was even in the cards. And to have that rug pulled out from under you, and then immediately you have to make a decision on whether or not you're going to play in a bowl game. I understand why they said, fuck that, we're not going to do it. From a team perspective, like, I get why you would sit there and say, we're not going to go play in a bowl game that doesn't mean anything from the team perspective. Now, if you're getting to the overall, what this message is sending from a Notre Dame perspective is, you have all these bowl execs and you have ESPN, every ESPN talking head now saying, well, you're taking your ball and going home, when your network has spent the last 5 weeks, every fucking game, Clinton, I've watched for the last 3 weeks talking about the playoff on ESPN. You have the color guy and the play-by-play guy arguing about the playoff and talking about why Notre Dame shouldn't be in. Why are we going to give you our brand, our prestige, to give you ratings for a bowl game that doesn't even matter when 20 guys are going to opt out and not play in that game anyway? Why should we do you a solid when you've been going and doing this to us for the last 5 weeks? What's the point? And it's a no-win position for Notre Dame to play in this bowl game, because if you win it, nobody gives a shit. It's like, cool, congratulations, you beat BYU. You lose it, everyone sits there and bitches at you and points at you and says, this is why you didn't belong in the playoff in the first place. Never mind, 15 of your best players aren't playing. No one gives a shit about that. Like, that's the thing with the Florida State thing in 2013 or 2023. They lost by 60 points. No one on their roster who was of consequence played in that game. And yet people still shit on them for going out and getting steamrolled by a Georgia team that was hungry and pissed off. There's a no-win situation. So from my perspective as a fan watching this team, I think it kind of sucks that the last time that I got to see this team play this year was at 2 a.m. in a blowout against Stanford when they were trying to score with 3 minutes left, because apparently this is a beauty fucking contest now that we have to impress the playoff selection committee. But the last thing I want is my potential Heisman frontrunner quarterback for 2026 blowing his knee out because he gets torpedoed by a fucking walk-on linebacker trying to prove a point in the second quarter of the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I functionally do not give a shit about watching this team in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Sorry. Would it be cool? I'm going to watch the spring game. I will watch anytime Notre Dame's on TV. I get why they don't want to do it. It's 2 days after Christmas. It's a team that didn't have an off season because their last season went 3 weeks up into spring ball. You got to go play a meaningless bowl game 2 days after Christmas. You got guys who are banged up, guys who either are opting out or weren't going to play because they're going to banged up. It's not going to be the full representation of what your team was this year. I get why they don't want to do that. And ultimately, who does them playing in the game serve? ESPN, ESPN sponsors. It makes all these people who've been shitting on you for the last 5 weeks money to no benefit of yourself. So fuck them. I get why they did it. And you know what? People are going to shit on them for it. I guarantee you no one involved with Notre Dame cares about those people's opinions, because you know who supports it? The fan base, the alumni, the former players have all come out and universally said, good, fuck ESPN. You're doing the right thing. And that's all that matters. It's time to rally the troops. It's time to galvanize the base and prepare for 2026. That's all.
Your boy Ari Wasserman's pushback would be, Ryan, though, that you're missing valuable reps for those guys who would have played
Functional, those don't
in
matter.
the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
It does not matter. Why? So you can go out there and you got a redshirt freshman wide receiver who goes off and gets 220 yards, and now Iowa State's offering him $500,000 in NIL. No thanks.
Yeah, that could certainly happen. I don't know. I'm staying on the standpoint. I'm disappointed. I've already said it, for the guys who didn't know that was going to be the last time they lace them up with Stanford and they don't get a shot. It is what it is. Bowl season is not the bowl season we grew up. College football is not the college football we grew up with. It's still, I'm sure, going to be, I don't know. I don't even know what the new date is for the declaration of determining what we're going to do next year. They brought up something about a 16-team playoff again. So clearly 24 may not be the option now. We might be back to square one with 14 or 16, just so we can get 9-3 Texas in.
Yeah,
because the SEC can't have enough. They cannot have enough.
No, you have almost half the field this year.
This is why I'm a proponent of, we just get rid of the committee. You give your auto bids for your P4 conferences, and then you let the computer figure it out.
Give me the BCS standings back. The problem wasn't the BCS computers, Clinton. I like the BCS computers because you understand what the formula is. You see the difference between the teams, and you can project that out. It's not this, well, what door are we going to open this week to justify this logic? You know what's going to happen. It's outlined right in front of you. It's transparent. And I think that's all people want in this process is transparency, because the last 2 weeks have been anything but that. It's secrecy by design, right? Like, they don't want you to understand the decisions that they're making because oftentimes there's no logical justification for it. They're just picking who they want to put in there, and then they backdate the justification as they see fit. That's how you end up with Hunter Yurichek getting grilled by Reese Davis and him stumbling like a fucking moron on live TV at 12:45 p.m. He didn't have an answer because there was no answer. You know the answer. We got to get the ACC in, and we're not dropping Bama out. That was your answer. And he's not going to come out and say that, because then that completely blows up the entire facade. We all know it. We're all happy to acknowledge it, but it's not, doesn't mean a fucking thing unless someone comes out and says, yeah, this is exactly what happens.
Yep. So before we jump into the game from the Big Ten, who do you think has the easiest path, the hardest path, Ryan, when you look at this playoff?
I mean, realistically, I don't think anybody who's not playing a first-round game this year is capable of winning a national title. Or, I mean, anyone who's playing in the first round is capable of winning a national title. Sorry.
Which would be different than last year, because all teams who got a bye last year lost.
Right, and that's the benefit of the reseeding, right? Is you want the better teams to have that reward, and that's happened this year. It's nice that it worked out that 3 of the conference champions got a bye, and then the other bye is a team who's been the best team in college football up until this past weekend. So I think that works out well. But in terms of easiest paths, I don't know, man. I like Oregon's. If we're gonna just start with teams outside of the top 4, you get a glorified scrimmage in your first round game against JMU. JMU's played one team with a pulse this year, and they lost by 14 points to Louisville. I think that game might be over at halftime. And then, Texas Tech has a really good defense. That's going to be a difficult matchup, but I'm not like they're to me, they're like a slightly better version of Oklahoma, who I don't think is very good. Fantastic defense, not the scariest offense. And I think the Oregon defense should be able to handle that pretty well in the second round. I like Indiana too. I think Oklahoma and Alabama are both bad teams. I think Indiana should handle. I think I saw the projected spreads for both of those games would be IU by like 10.5 points. For Ohio State, if Miami's able to get through A&M, I think that might be the most difficult second round matchup. But Carson Beck has shown he's capable of completely falling off his rocker and throwing 4 interceptions at any time. So I don't know that that's necessarily a complete scare. If they're playing it at their best, I think Miami can certainly give Ohio State a great game and even beat them. But we've seen Miami at their best against a good team for half a game this year, the first half of the Notre Dame game, and then they let them back in it. So I don't know that that's a team that's capable of playing and beating Ohio State when Ohio State's at its best. But we'll talk about that game here in a second. That was not exactly the best offensive performance from the Buckeyes this weekend, but I don't know, man. It's nice that we're not going to get a Midwest on Midwest matchup until potentially the semifinals. So there's a little bit of intrigue going into that. But I think the 3 Big Ten teams are pretty well positioned, all things considered.
Certainly. Easiest path, I think, if you're starting outside the top 4 is Oregon. They're going to steamroll James Madison. Who knows what their health will be with their playmakers, but I don't see Texas Tech being able to beat Oregon. And then they're going to match up for a rematch with Indiana, most likely.
It'll be tough.
Indiana, well, first of all, Alabama can't run the ball. We've seen that all season. So Indiana's not going to have to worry about taking that away. Nope. So what they're going to do is they're going to find a weak spot in the Alabama offensive line, which very well may be Caden Proctor, who's getting first-round love, and they're going to attack his ass the way that they did Tegra Shabola last night, and we'll get to that in a second. They're going to find that weakness. Now, the question is, what does Bama do on defense to stop Indiana? If Oklahoma wins that game, Oklahoma plays elite defense, but they don't have offense.
though
And I don't think they can
Oklahoma's,
score with Indiana.
if you stacked well, that's actually not fair because I think okay, let's take James Madison and take Tulane out of this.
Mm-hmm.
You take the 10P4 teams in the bracket, their offense and their defense. Who has the worst overall unit? It's Oklahoma's offense.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's particularly close to whatever the next one is. It's not been good since
Hasn't been
John
good all
Mateer.
year. Well, I would say even before.
No, because you can look at the Michigan game; they struggled.
Yep. And he was fully healthy. He made some plays, but he also made some very boneheaded plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Miami to me is the first round upset, which really isn't that hard because technically right now Oklahoma beating Bama would be an upset because Bama's favored, and I'm not sure why. But I think Miami's going to beat Texas A&M. And then I think they're going to move on to play Ohio State, which would be interesting. I
think-
kind of like Georgia's path, though, because if somehow Tulane, we've already seen this game this year, Ole Miss killed Tulane. If Tulane were to beat them, Georgia's going to slaughter Tulane.
Well, I think,
And I
Georgia's
just don't
gonna
know what Ole
beat
Miss has in the tank
Yeah,
without Lane Kiffin. And
Yeah.
maybe we're wrong. Maybe this team is very inspired because their coach left and they kicked the shit out of Tulane and they beat Georgia. I mean, they had Georgia on the ropes, man. This is the same team. Kiffin's not coaching, but they had Georgia on the ropes and they let him have it. So maybe we're all wrong. Maybe Ole Miss can clip Georgia. If I'm looking through, though, I would love to see the Ohio State-Indiana rematch and maybe both teams' offenses play a little better in the national championship. But I don't know we're going to get that. If I had to preliminarily pick right now, I think I'd probably go Indiana versus Georgia would be my national championship without picking the bracket through.
yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I have questions about Georgia's offense.
Well, you should. And if they match up with Ohio State, you'd think Ohio State would be able to just score all over them. Except maybe that should be a great turning point into the game last night, Ryan. And we can talk about why Ohio State may not score points.
Yes, Clinton. I tried to pay attention to this game as best as I could last night, but I was 3 sheets to the wind. So, it was a good game. It was, I mean, good. It was a classic Big Ten game, right? Like,
Oh, talk about
hard
classic,
hitting.
like Woody Hayes,
I mean-
Bo Schembechler.
I mean,
happy.
Caden Curry set the tone on the first play of the game when he sent Fernando Mendoza into the shadow
Dear
realm.
God.
I texted you immediately, game over, because I thought he was donezo, man. He got lit
Fucking killed.
up.
I think he was still feeling it in his post-game interview, too.
Well, did you see him on the Big Ten desk after? He's like, yeah, I'm not going to lie, that really hurt, but I said I'd be out here on the field, and I'd die for my brothers, and I wasn't going to miss. It's like, cool, man, good for you.
Dude, if
you would have had to
when that
bury me on the
happened,
field. You would have had to bury me on the
yeah,
field.
I was picking up pizza, and I had my phone up, and I saw the hit, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I don't want him to be out. I don't want a fucking cakewalk through the Big Ten championship. Like, I want Indiana at full strength. And props to him, man. Well, Alberto came out for one play, and then he went back in. Good for him, man. Showed some brass balls coming back on that because that was a deadly hit. Holy shit. He hit him. Woo. Anyways, you
Yeah.
can continue.
No, I didn't really have much to add other than that. I mean, it was both of these defenses showed throughout the course of this game why they've been among the most fearsome units in college football. And I mean, you highlighted in the preview show the way that Indiana runs their zone defense could potentially present some problems for Ohio State. We've seen this last year. Granted, it was with a different quarterback, a different offensive coordinator, but when Texas went heavy zone to shadow towards Jeremiah Smith, they had success in taking him out of the game. And there were times throughout this game where Julian Sand looked confused, wasn't sure what the defense was throwing at him. He had a second quarter where he had Smith one-on-one with Pons and hit him for a big play, and then he got around Pons and then tried to cut back in the middle. I don't even know how the guy tackled him. It looked like he just kind of like chopped at his hip and he fell. I thought that was going to kind of be the turning point in this game. I'm like, oh, Ohio State's about to uncork the offense here. But from that point forward, man, there was not a whole lot going on. And in the second half, I'm going to have to pull up the tweet here again. It's somewhere at this point.
For 11 minutes and change, and Ohio State ran, 27 plays, and they scored 0 points. That's the tweet. I have it right here.
Yeah.
Ohio State's last 2 drives while trailing 13-10 and needing to score against Indiana. 12 plays, 70 yards, 6 minutes, 58 seconds, no points. 15 plays, 81 yards, 7 minutes, 57 seconds, 0 points. You know what that looked like, Ryan? And the score is the exact indicator of it. The 2024 Michigan game. Different things, because Ryan Day and Ohio State and Heartline, they did attack down the field, and then they didn't do that against Michigan. And they ran a little more hurry up. But in listening to the post-game pods that I follow for Ohio State, they saw the same thing I thought. Every time Ohio State would do something successful, they stopped doing it. Ryan Day would run out 13 personnel, 4 fucking tight ends on the field, and take Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate off the field.
That was insane. That was
what
insane.
are you doing? Why would you take them off the field, especially that late in the game on a 3rd and 1, and Smith's not on the field? Like, buddy, I don't understand what you're doing. That's coaching malpractice. And in the drive before, Sand has gotten some QB sneak first downs this year, but you saw it last week against Michigan. He gets too low. He's too low. He has the first down if he just stays up a little higher, and his knee hits the ground.
And he hit the ground.
Like, buddy, you don't need to be that low. Like, Lil Jon ain't singing the song "Get Low" for you here. Just don't get so freaking low. And I love Klatt's point. He's like, he's got that bandage on his knee, and we can see it. I'm like, you can fucking see it without the Band-Aid, jackass.
Yeah,
Shut up.
He's got silver pants and a white leg.
Jesus Christ. The Fox crew has died off really bad. Anyways, watching this game, props to both defenses. These defenses were both ferocious, and they took 2 offenses who are also very good and stymied them. I mean, yeah, Indiana scored the touchdown late, which was a great pass, and they hit Becker a couple times on Jermaine Matthews, and I believe one was on Lorenzo Styles. Those are just go routes, man. And I don't think Indiana did some things that I don't think Ohio State thought they would do, which would be to attack Becker deep. They went after Lorenzo. I'm surprised Jermaine Matthews gave those balls up. He's usually a pretty lockdown corner. I don't know. The one time Becker got a key 3rd down conversion was Jermaine Matthews was like 10 yards off the ball. Fernando Mendoza is a great quarterback. So he takes the I believe is like a 10-yard out route. We'll just take the first down. Thanks. Like, why are you not on him? And then they found the key of where to attack on Ohio State's offensive line. I have talked to you and anyone who listens to this podcast, Ryan, the entire season about right guard Tegra Shabola. How many times have I said his name? And what did Indiana do? They kicked the living shit out of him. Yes, they got around Saraveld one time, but most of their pressure, I believe, came from that right side of the offensive line. And we do talk about, again, the soft zone, Sand looked confused at times. It's a lot harder to find holes in a defense when somebody's about to knock your face off.
True.
And that is what the first half was, man. He didn't have time. And you got to the second half, and Ohio State benched Tegra. And guess what fucking happened? They went right down the field because they had a guard in who could block someone and understood what to do when Indiana overloaded them or ran a stunt or something at them. He knew what to do. And all of a sudden, Daniels, the right tackle, starts playing better too because the offensive line is a link, man. If they're a chain, one link in that chain goes bad, the whole thing sours. It's broken.
Yep. They
have to work as a cohesive 5. And Ohio State did the same thing to Indiana's tackles. They didn't need to attack in the middle because they just have Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry eat the tackles off the edge. And Ohio State fans, I'm here with you. There were multiple times, probably 3 or 4 I can think of, when Kenyatta, at least 2 of them, and then Caden was at least one, where it was an obvious holding right in front of the ref. Didn't call it. You know what?
Yep,
you got to figure out how to win the game, though. You don't ever get those calls. So why are you bitching about it now? You're bitching about it because you're losing is why you're bitching about it. Like, we bitch about it when we're winning, but you're kind of just shrug it off. Well, when you're losing, you still have to find a way to get stops. And it's hard. I get it. It sucks, man. But you cannot have your coach's anal sphincter get super tight like he did last year against Michigan. That's exactly what this game was, man. That's exactly what this game was.
Yeah.
Also, quick shout out, because I have the stats in front of me. Kalen Black runs like a man possessed. He only had 16 carries for 69 yards. Like, Ohio State held Indiana to 3.5 yards per carry. But Jesus Christ, he is way better than Roman Himby, and that's no knock on Roman Himby, but I would be handing the ball to Black constantly.
Mm-hmm.
But Ohio State fans, and I think fans of any losing team in big games or just losing teams in general, they never want to give the other team credit. It's always my team could have done this and my team could have done that. And I get it. If Ohio State converts the Julian Sand 4th and 1, they probably score a touchdown. If they don't take Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate off the field in a 3rd and 1, they probably score a touchdown. I don't like relying on kickers to win you games. I didn't like putting Jaden Feeling in that position because I knew he was going to miss because I watched him do it against Michigan last year. This kid walked out and said last week before Michigan, I hope I get to make a big kick in this game. Like, well, motherfucker, the fans don't want you to because we knew what was going to happen. That's not an easy angle to kick a ball from. Put your offense on the field and go for it because they got the ball in the same spot with you missing the kick. It was the same shit last year we laughed at Notre Dame for in the national championship when he doinked it off the upright.
Mm-hmm.
Just get your balls and put them on the line and go for it because if you don't get it, they're getting the ball in the same spot. And Ohio State, I really thought in this game would come off of the let's try to have 15-minute drives. And I thought they would attack. And a part of that has to be Indiana's defense made life hard for them. But when they made the right guard switch in the second half, Ryan, and they just go right down the field, I'm like, why are we taking 8 minutes to do this? Just go score. Attack. But you're not because this has been the Ryan Day, Brian Hartline motto all year is slow and methodical. And he's not incorrect in his statement, Ryan Day, when he said, when we need to go fast, we will. Well, they did, and tempo worked. And then they get across midfield, and it's like, okay, let's slow down again. But why? Why are you not throwing it at Jeremiah Smith 90% of the game when the corner guarding him is 5'5" and 160 pounds? No offense, Pons. He's elite. He's a great corner. Jesus Christ. You're on the goal line. Every single ball should be a fade route to him until he catches it. Like, I don't want to take anything away from Indiana because too many Ohio State fans are. The Hoosiers are for real. And I hope now nationally people understand that. This is an extremely good team. Now, Indiana, do not embarrass all of us from Big Ten country on the big stage. And when you play your first playoff game, do not fucking lose. Please be this team you have been all year. Fight, fight, and fight, man. They have the Cignetti energy. That's what they have. Mendoza is a perfect pairing to Cignetti. He's a perfect pairing. This team is special. They've got a chance. But they've got to keep the same mindset that they've had all year. Now that you have a Big Ten title in tow, you can't change your mindset of the nobody believes in us, nobody has us here. We believe in ourselves. It's us against the world. I know their motto is never daunted. Keep it up, man, because they're an impressive team, and I would love to see this game in a rematch. I absolutely would love to see this for the Natty. That would be so exciting for the Big Ten to have two teams who have been arguably the best two teams in the country all year. To rematch in the national championship. We all deserve it. I don't know if we'll get it. There's a long ways between that. And, one injury goes wrong in a game. You saw that Georgia-Texas in the SEC title last year. How much that changes everything for a team. Or you play in Ohio State where you play a C-plus game in which you probably needed a B-plus to win on offense. And then you lose. So shout out Hoosiers. Congratulations. First Big Ten title since 1967 when you tied with Purdue and Illinois, I believe. And the Buckeyes, you swing and miss again. You found your way after a disappointing game last year against Michigan, and you had the exact, literally same result this year, 13-10. Figure it out, and let's see what you got in the playoff for me.
Yep, and you don't have that first-round home game now, right? You have the extra week. You're going to have to shake off the rust, and you're going to have to do it against a pretty good team who will be riding high on some momentum. So it'll be fascinating. I think we'll get some – I don't even know if we'll get some good second-round matchups, man. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am very down on this playoff field.
Yeah,
I don't think –
Well, that's kind of to our final point that both of you and I agreed on. Like, you can't be doing two G5s.
Well, not only that. Like, Clinton allow me to hijack the conversation and make it about me and my problems again one more time. Notre Dame came in today as having tied for the third best odds with Georgia of winning the national title. A national title caliber team is not in this field. One of the best teams in college football over the course of the season is not in this field. You have two teams that have no functional chance of winning the national championship. Let's just call it what it is. James Madison and Tulane are not going to win the national championship. Maybe one of them will make it a good game in the first round. Hell, maybe one of them will get an upset. Maybe Tulane will beat Ole Miss without Lane. They're not getting past that. If they do, it's a one and done. Ole Miss isn't getting past Georgia. It's not happening. Not without Lane. So we can take them out. Alabama, Oklahoma, whoever wins that game is going to get smoked by Indiana. Both of those teams are mediocre football teams. They earn their. I get it. But this gets back to the SEC circle jerk, right? Like, oh, well, they earned their way into the field with these resume-building wins.
Resume-building wins over teams like Tennessee, who didn't beat
Tennessee
a team over a 500
Tennessee
record.
and Missouri, who have 0 wins over 500 FBS teams this year. Those are your resume-building wins. At least Alabama beat Georgia in the regular season and beat Vanderbilt. Those are 2 good wins. They've played shitty football for the last month. They are 1-2 in their last 3 FBS games, and they almost lost the third one to a 5-7 Auburn team. Oklahoma can't move the ball. How many yards do you think Oklahoma's going to have against Indiana? 150?
I don't know if they'll get that high, man.
Mateer's going to have. They might have more turnovers than they have points.
I mean, Indiana's offense might not get over 200 either. It might be a really ugly game.
That's going to be a rock fight. That's going to be a rock fight. But I don't think. I think we have 5 SEC teams in the field, and I think Georgia's the only one capable of winning a national title. We had to shoehorn 5 of these fucking teams into the field, and only one of them is capable of winning a national title. The other 4 are perfectly fine teams that are getting boosted because, oh my gosh, LSU, they're so good. They have their preseason number 4 ranking. They beat Clemson to start the year. They suck!
Yep.
They're awful!
Yep.
Auburn, ass! Missouri, shit. Tennessee, piss. These are your resume-building wins.
A&M played all the bottom half of the SEC.
A&M's only in the playoff because the fucking SEC referees didn't call 2 blatant holds on their 4th and goal touchdown that beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, and then when they finally played another team, Texas,
smoked,
they lost,
uncompetitive,
couldn't beat them. So here's my again. Let's envision the Ohio State that has showed up for 12 games, not 13. Plays that A&M team. A&M's not beating Ohio State.
No.
They won't score. Well, they'll score, but they won't score much because Ohio State's defense doesn't give up a whole lot. And then you already mentioned Carson Beck walks out there. You don't think, well, if Ohio State decides to try to be confusing on defense and not just sit and not do anything, Beck can't throw 3 or 4 picks against Ohio State and then they lose? I mean, Miami's defense isn't great. We hear all this talk about Reuben Bain. Was he have 2 sacks all year? He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, he
generates pressure, but he doesn't do anything. He's Shamar Stewart 2.0.
Yeah, I don't know his PFF. I think his PFF numbers are very, very gaudy, in terms of his pressure rate and the number of overall pressures he has, but he doesn't finish.
And then, I don't know. I'm not trying to shit on the G5. I've been on this show, and I've been saying for multiple years now, there should be a G5 playoff and a P4 playoff, or previously P5 playoff. Because it's just not going to happen, man. I get Boise State, but Boise State was only there last year because they earned the bye. And then we had to change the language in that to prevent that from happening again.
Yeah.
And they're just 9.9 times out of 10, they're not going to pull it off. And if they do, there's a big bully waiting on them, and you had to expend everything game 1 to pull it off. They're going to beat your ass in the next game.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't if it stays at 12, if they can't figure out what they're going to do with it after this year, and you can't change anything about it. Even if you put in if you're going to get an auto bid as a conference, you have to be ranked in the top 20 or else you don't get it. Then if the committee doesn't want to put you in, then they'll just leave you at 21. So there's no way around that. Go back to the fucking computers.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have the G5 in this situation.
Yeah,
because the computers aren't putting them in there because they don't play a hard enough schedule. And I get it because these teams aren't designed
to be
win.
fair. I think JMU was in the 20s or 30s in Sagarin. I mean, that's not going to get you in the top 20.
They played Louisville extremely tough early. They kind of blew that game for themselves, actually. They probably should have beat Louisville.
Their strength of schedule, I think, was 115th. Yeah. They played a terrible schedule.
It's just not, barring again, and I just don't see why. Why would Oregon be checked out? James Madison's not only playing Oregon, this isn't neutral site. They're going to Autzen.
Yep.
They're going to kill them. They got to go all the way across the West Coast to get bludgeoned. And then Tulane, we've already seen it. It's going to happen again. it's not like it was close and then they choked. Ole Miss choked the life out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It was cute last year. Boise State was almost an anomaly because of Ashton Genty. He was so good.
For sure.
And he made that team hard to beat because he could pop off at any time. And whether it was catching the ball or running the ball, mostly running the ball, of course. But the rest of that team, Maddox, Bradson, and all those, they had a really good defense. They generated pressure on Penn State, but we quickly learned that Penn State receivers can't catch a pass. So maybe that wasn't that impressive of a win. I don't know, man. I'm not trying to sit here and shit on the little guy, but you can't tell me you swap James Madison with Texas and you swap Tulane with Notre Dame, and this isn't a much more intriguing playoff.
No, realistically, Clinton,
or Vandy over Texas, whatever you want to do.
If the fucking ACC had the guts a week ago to sit there and say, "Look, our tiebreaker rules are stupid. We're changing it to this," and you got Miami in the ACC title game and they beat Virginia, you get Miami and Notre Dame in this field, and all of a sudden you have a far more compelling playoff than what we have right now.
The Big Ten did it during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't because Indiana wasn't deserving. They just made a dumb rule of like, you have to play this minimum of games in a season, which you didn't know you'd get to play at all. But the Big Ten had brass balls and said, no, fuck this. Ohio State beat Indiana head-to-head. We're putting the best team in.
Yeah, we're protecting our best teams here. We are doing what's best for our conference.
And they didn't care because then Ohio State went to the national championship.
And I don't know, maybe if you piss Duke off, it's a different thing because they're a basketball power for your conference. But what's Duke football going to do? Sit down and shut up. No one fucking cares about you.
Yep. So I'm not as intrigued this year, Ryan. What I honestly am most intrigued about is what they're going to do about it after. What's going to happen for next year's playoff? And I'm scared of 24, man. I don't want 24.
Well, I think so. Notre Dame's AD. Did you see Notre Dame's AD went on McAfee on Friday? I think.
I just paid attention to that for Chris Henry Jr. That's all I paid attention to.
Oh, well, he basically said there's near unanimous support for 16 with a 5+11. And when he says near unanimous, I'm assuming he means that Tony Petitti's the holdout because that guy has no fucking business being.
He wants the other, right?
Yeah, he has no business being a conference commissioner.
Wait, Petitti, you would think he's holding out for the 24, or wasn't Petitti the one that pushed the 5+11 originally?
No, Petitti wants the auto
for whatever bullshit.
So he can do his stupid fucking play-in thing with 8 and 4 teams.
That's right. Well, give me the 16 with the 5+11. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because then you
can
get your G5
please not go beyond 16 though? Like,
no.
My problem with is at least we let the 4 team run its course.
Yeah,
we haven't even let the 12 team go for 1 year, and we're already talking about expanding it.
And that's the issue. We've now had 2 years of the 12-team playoff, and people are bitching about the outcomes of both. So they're just going to keep mucking with it until they get something that's somewhat acceptable. What you need to do, Clinton, move the season up 2 weeks. Start in the middle of August, around when high school football starts. I'm sorry, high school football, that you don't get to be your own thing for 2 weeks anymore. Move up the season by 2 weeks. Get rid of conference title games. There's no after what happened this weekend, there's no functional use of having a conference title game. We had 4 Power 4 conference title games. The ACC one didn't matter. Duke won, and that didn't change anything.
They had 50
about
people
the field.
There.
Yeah, they couldn't give away tickets to that game. That game had no impact whatsoever. Texas Tech won the Big 12. They didn't move up a spot. Georgia beat Alabama to win the SEC. Georgia did not move up, nor did Alabama move down. And in the Big Ten, the only thing that changed is the team that was ranked number 1 and lost moved to number 2, and the number 2 team is now number 1.
Here's why they won't get rid of them, though.
Because they want money. It's all a money thing.
$800 for a nosebleed for the Big Ten championship, and I'm sure Bama and Georgia weren't much cheaper.
Of course. They're going to keep it in because of money. But
the
from a
two
football
biggest
perspective,
powers want the money.
If you want, I get it's a money thing. You have to get, there's no functional football purpose for playing them if that's how they are going to be treated. It's a glorified exhibition game. How long until one of your guys gets hurt in one of those games? You're like, okay, this isn't fucking happening. This isn't happening.
You won the Big Ten
anymore.
championship, but now you can't compete.
Yeah,
in the
how do you
because
think
your quarterback's injured?
Yeah, how stoked do you think Indiana would be right now if they lost that game? They moved down 1 spot, but guess what? Your quarterback is out for the season because he busted up his shoulder on that play.
Yeah,
probably wouldn't be super jacked.
Or his brain.
Or his brain. Yeah, he's got a concussion now. He doesn't actually have a concussion. He does not actually have a concussion. But, you move up the season by 2 weeks. You get rid of conference title games. You're playing the first round of the playoff now, 10 days or whatever after the end of the regular season, and you play in week increments after that, like they do in the NFL. And guess what? You finish the season on New Year's Day. You solve all of your college football calendar issues. You move signing day back to February. You keep your transfer portal for the first week of June so it's still copacetic with the academic counter. It literally fixes every issue with college football. You have to get rid of swallow your fucking pride and get rid of your conference title games because they don't matter anyway. Yeah. Sorry you lose a little bit of money. You'll make it up in the 2 rounds of home games that you get. You'll be okay.
That is the one thing that's spicy. If we got 2 rounds of home games, that's the only chomping at the bit for 24 that would be fun. I don't know if they can pitch that with 16 or not, but damn, that'd be fun, man. Because it is kind of a bummer for these 4 teams getting a bye that they don't get to then host their opponent on a home game.
That's messed up.
It's much different walking into the shoe than A&M getting to play Ohio State in Texas. A&M has to come to the shoe in January on New Year's Eve when it's fucking 10 degrees.
Could be worse. You could have played Miami at Hard Rock.
Yes. Or, I don't know, Indiana. Alabama has to come above the Mason-Dixon line to play the Hoosiers in Bloomington.
Clinton, if you guys played Miami at Hard Rock, that would have been the second time in 7 years their fans would have shown up for anything.
No.
All 15 of them would have had something to say about that game.
It's going to be an interesting offseason. I guess that's maybe why we love college football, because it's like a soap opera. Like As the World Turns or Days of Our Lives.
It's the Kardashians. The fucking college football selection show is the Kardashians for fat, out-of-shape white men.
Hey, now, Booger McFarland might be upset by that.
Fair enough. Fat, out-of-shape men of all races and creeds.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sport, but there are ugly parts to it, and I'm going to do my best to enjoy the playoff. I will do my best to try to stay tuned in for at least a half of both the G5 versus Big Boy matchup, because I don't think it's going to matter much past that.
That makes you a better man than I, because
I will be locked into the other two to see what happens. But
I am checked out. They ruined it for me.
You are.
They fucking ruined it for me.
Yep. Listen, the best case scenario for our podcast this year is it's Ohio State-Indiana rematch.
You will be doing the show by yourself for the remainder of the playoff, because I don't want any part of it.
Or taking a hiatus. State, that'd be fun.
I'm taking my hiatus early this year.
Hiatus early. I'm looking forward to that hiatus.
Yeah.
At some point, just a nice little break for the voice. Anyways, rambling on too much. Guys, we're doing the show tonight, nothing tomorrow night, because there's nothing really more to recap, and then we'll be back Thursday night for a normal episode. No pick'ems, but we're going to kind of just evaluate the season on the whole. Our thoughts of teams that maybe overperformed, underperformed, met expectations.
We can talk about your preseason national championship game going on in the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah, it's glorious, right? Hey, one of my guys are still competitive, Alabama, right? I put Alabama in there.
I don't even remember.
It was Alabama versus Clemson.
I don't know if I have my paper saved in the
Ryan did get his G5 right with Tulane.
I did call Tulane. Good for me.
Right. 2 back-to-back years. You got Boise last year.
I'm pretty sure I also said Notre Dame was going to go 10-2, but they would split the first games and
you also said that Ohio State wouldn't make the playoff.
I did. That was stupid. I said Washington would make the playoff. I don't think I had Indiana in the playoff.
No. And then
I don't think I had Oregon either.
Next week is a kind of an off week for everyone as we get ready to head into full game week, so we'll come up with something to entertain y'all for next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Or we'll just disappear for a week. I wouldn't hate that because I'm over it. For Clinton, I'm Ryan. Thanks for listening and entertaining the ramblings of a delusioned man who's been in a shitty